Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. George here from dawnorganics. Today I'll be having a chat with the very wonderful Hala from Sweet Earth Products. How are you going, Hala?
Hello, George. I'm going well, thank you.
That's great to hear. So the idea behind the Soap Makers Lounge, as I like to call it, and that's a playlist I've created recently on my YouTube channel. It's to bring, like-minded soap makers in Australia together just to have a chat over coffee. I mean, I've got my coffee.
Cheers.
And I just find like the soap making community in Australia is not very big, so it seems to be quite small. And I thought this would be a nice way to kind of bring people together and to inspire each other, and also, as a resource for people that are, soap hobbyists or wanting to start a business, and they can kind of refer to our chats, that we conduct. So yeah, I thought like that's the idea behind it. So I'm really happy that I've connected with you and we're able to have this chat.
And thank you, George. It is a pleasure to be here, and I really love what you're doing and bringing this community together, because we really do have such a wonderful soaping community here in Australia.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. And so I always like to start off by, asking some questions in regarding to your soap business, Sweet Earth Products. So just like walk me through the journey. Like what prompted you to start making soap? Like at the beginning.
Well, actually, it was due to COVID, George, that I stumbled across cold process soap making. It was looking for activities for my son to keep him occupied over that initial lockdown that we had back in March of 2020.
Yes,
I discovered it's not something that he could do per se, but we still had melt and pour.
Okay.
And, he loves making bath bombs and things like that. So, it was actually due to COVID that I stumbled across soap making.
Oh, well, so it's a relatively new journey for you.
Yes, I'm a fresh babe to this beautiful craft, George, but I certainly did take full advantage of that time that we were in lockdown. I think it was for about 5 to 6 months. So I was able to dedicate myself full time to studying and learning and experimenting and watching as many content creators as possible.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, actually, when I looked at your soaps and your website and your products, I assumed you had been doing it for years. It has a certain energy to it. When I looked at it, I'm like, wow, these have beautiful energies to it. So I just automatically connected to it. And I'm actually quite surprised to hear that it's something new. And and when you contributed, actually, remember when I did that essential oil blend video, and you were graciously you had given some essential oil blends that you use in your products, and even then when you gave that to me, I kind of assumed it's something from our chats that you've been doing for a while. So that's actually really surprising, but in a good way. It's a very good surprise, yeah.
Well, it shows what you can do, I think, when you really dedicate your time. Like I said, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I fell in love with soap making. It's such a beautiful craft, and those content creators out there like Ellie and Katie, they were so inspiring, and I just couldn't get enough. Like a lot of people have said, it's highly addictive. So and I'm an avid learner anyway, George, so I really just dedicated my time into learning. It is quite involved, as you know. It's not as easy as I initially thought when I thought, hey, let's make soap. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, for sure. And I like to call it the soap bug, and once you catch it, it's highly addictive and you can't go back. It just grows and grows and grows.
Grows and grows, it does. I find myself in all the free time that I do get, I'm either reading or watching. It's forever changing and growing.
And how did you find like the first very batch that you did of cold process soap? How do you compare it with the first batch you made and now?
Well, I'm doing a lot better now. A lot of trials and errors. My first batch of soap, I probably didn't research as much as I should have in regards to lye and the different grading of lye that you can get. So the hubby went out to Bunnings and got some lye, and we later found out that it was of a 78% grading. So still to this day, I don't think those bars ever have set, George. But then I went back to it and I did a lot of research, and I watched Ali and her introduction to soap making, and discovered that you need, the red lidded lye from Bunnings, that 100% lye. And from there, I still think I actually have one of my first bars when I got it right the second time. That was using Ellie's recipe that she gave in that video. So, but it was quite funny looking back to it. I'm sure we were all in our hazmat suits, thoroughly scared but excited at the same time.
Like I said to Ellie, because when I had a chat with Ellie, when I first made my first batch, I was like this, with the lime. Like, I have to not get close because I don't want a drop to go on me. And I had like full, eye protection.
Face shield.
Shield and everything. I'm like, and by the end of it, my shoulders were so sore because of,
It is great to look back on that and where we are now, isn't it? And that's the fun part of it, I think, definitely.
And like you made your first few batches, and what was the movement like from, just, making at home, being, in lockdown and, giving something fun to do with your son or for him to watch, as you make products. What was the thing that drove you into started selling your products and kind of, have an online store? Because I do believe you have an online store, right?
Yes, we have. We're on the internet as well as social media platforms. I think it was really just to offload all the extra soap. I was making soap for 5 to 6 months solid. Once, like you said, sorry, George, you get that bug, and it was forever fine-tuning and learning so much more about how everything all comes together. And you give it away for gifts and things like that, but I was producing a lot of soaps, so it was by attrition. I think we already have some businesses. We're owner-operators of 2 more other businesses.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it was just natural for us in a way to just say, hey, well, let's just duplicate this and adapt it to that, and maybe hopefully sell some of the soap to offload a lot of it.
And I assume because I'm a big fan of handmade soap, and not just my own, even other soap makers that make handmade soaps. And the one thing I think we can all agree on is the skin benefits.
Yes.
The skin
absolutely.
Benefits.
That was a wonderful thing for us too, because we're all about that more healthier living and lifestyle, and becoming more aware of, the benefits of homemade soap, homemade cooking, those kinds of things, which, it just made me fall in love with it even more, George, that goodness and nourishment from that wholesome thing that you're creating.
And do you find adding, when you add essential oils, because, they're plant-based materials, do you find that adds extra skin, nourishment and health benefits overall, like aromatherapy? Do you find that say with lavenders and those calming oils, that after you use it in the shower, that it kind of changes your mood or alters your mood a little?
Yes, absolutely. Plants are just wonderful things, and like you said with the lavender, I know for our son, lavender soap in the bath really helps him wind down and relax and be calming. And there's so many benefits from essential oils, especially, and all kinds of plant medicine. And I love just incorporating them into soaps.
Yeah. So my next question would have been like, how long have you been selling soaps? But I think you kind of covered that.
About 10 months.
Yeah, about 10 months. Well, I'm still so blown away that it's only been such a short amount of time. Like, it's just incredible. Like, that's something you should really be proud of. You should really be proud of that. And I'm proud of you for that as well. Like, it's been a really short time. Yeah, wow, that's fantastic.
Well, I couldn't have also done it, George, without the support of family and friends and, our community. Yeah. And like I said, and I think that passion really just drove me into it. It has been a short time, but it's organically just grown. I sort of let it just do its own thing, and I've just followed along eagerly. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we were chatting before, and I'll bring it up now because I think it would be a wonderful addition to our chat here, is we were talking about, nature and our energies as well and what we put into our products, and that can have a flow-on effect to people that are using it. And when they pick it up, and I can instantly see, your energy and the energy you put into your products is a very warming, beautiful energy. So I would assume that people that use your products would feel the love and the care that goes into your products behind it.
I think so too, George. It's a lot of love, but a lot of hard work. But I think that comes through. I really do. People connect with that.
Yes, they sure do. And once they get to know your journey, and I think that's one of the reasons why I've started kind of having chats with other soap makers. It's to give, your customer base and your viewers a chance to see your journey as well, so they will, appreciate your products that much more because they know exactly, what's going into it and the process of what's going into it as well.
Absolutely. Yes, George. Thank you.
No props. And since I know it's only been 10 months, but I mean, I remember in my first year, I faced a lot of challenges in selling my products and getting my Dawn Organics out there and my name attached to my business out there. So what are some of the, the challenges kind of you faced with kind of getting your products out there? And it is a very saturated market, soap making. Mm. So what are your unique, selling points and, your style that you've put in, the challenges you faced?
We've been quite fortunate, George, in regards to we haven't come across any real challenges selling our products. And I think that's because of the way we positioned the Sweet Earth business. Yeah. It was just a little hobby thing for me on the side that organically grew through the support of the community and friends and family and me myself. I was very lucky to have a stockist to put my products into. They have 3 stores from here to the Gold Coast. So we've been quite lucky. We haven't had to chase business. As I said, Sweet Earth is not our main source of income, so we haven't had that stress, which has been wonderful. It really has. We've been so lucky there. But I think for me, the challenges that we've come across is, the information on how to set ourselves up as a business in this industry. It was quite hard to find the information readily accessible and available to me as to how to set up a soaping business. And the video that you did with Ellie just recently was wonderful. I learned so many things there in regards to the Australian...
Oh, yes, I always forget the name. It's the AIC. IS,
Yes, so, Thank you, George, that one there. So I wasn't aware of that, that government body itself, and I had to join a lot of Facebook groups in the soaping and bath bomb industry just to get that information of how do I set myself up as a business in this industry.
And actually, that chat I had with Ellie was a really raw moment because I learned as she told me in the video. Like I had no idea. And as soon as we finished, having our chat, I went straight to the website And
Me too.
yeah, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been for
Freaked out a little bit.
yeah, and I had no idea. So she taught me, like, I'm sure, with other people that have seen the video that, unaware of, there's certain, licenses or, memberships you have to pay for the year, government bodies and stuff. Yeah. So that was a real education for me as well. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
and which is wonderful what you're doing, George, in bringing this community together, making this information accessible to people that are already doing it, to people that are fresh to the soap making business.
Yeah, so that was, the idea behind it, because I know when I first started, I really did struggle. I had a lot of struggles, especially the first, I'd say, 24 months.
Yeah.
Was a big struggle. And I didn't have, resources or people I could kind of turn to and chat with. But now it's different, because now, I have a presence on YouTube, and I'm now talking with a lot of Australian soap makers. So if I ever did need advice, I know where to go, and vice versa. Some people come to me for advice, and it's just wonderful to be able to fall back on other like-minded people and share knowledge, and skills, so it's fantastic. So I didn't expect it to kind of go in the direction it is now, but I'm really happy that it has, and I'm really happy that you're here as well, having a chat with me as well. So
me too, George. Thank you. And isn't it wonderful just watching something that you create just grow the way it has, and bringing people together that are like-minded, and having a platform to share this knowledge and information.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. And okay, so you touched base on. I was going to ask, like, so you sell online, and you have us. I think you said you had a store that stockists that have 3 stores. Is there anywhere else that you kind of sell your products?
Yeah. So we have our website, also Etsy.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, we've got a stockist, local community. George, we're not out in the markets yet, but we're finalising things so that we can get out into our local community. And I think that'll be good for me too, interacting a little bit more instead of being in the studio or working from home a lot. But we even sell soaps through our security and medical alarm business, anywhere that I can sell.
Okay, excellent. Wow. Yeah, so I guess, like, for you, it's not really a big, like, as you touched base before, it's not really a big shock, because you already have, like, a couple of businesses already, so it's not a big, like, a too much of a transition for you,
Yeah, and the pressure that's involved with that, George, we were very lucky.
Yeah.
As I said, we didn't have that pressure to sell and get customers. We were able to position ourselves to let it organically unfold, which has been wonderful, because it is stressful and it is a lot of hard work running a business.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. And what advice would you give, like, to other, soap makers that are, thinking about starting a business, or maybe contemplating reaching out to platforms like Shopify or Etsy and going to markets? Like, what advice would you give, like, the person that hasn't made that step yet?
I would say, George, do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Whether it's soaping or any kind of business, do your due diligence. It's so important. And I think a non-daunting way to think about doing your due diligence is think about it like coming into soap making for the first time. You've got to go out there and gather your information and your knowledge, which is your foundation. And then from there, you go out and you get your materials and your ingredients and your equipment, which is your infrastructure and processes.
Yeah.
And from there, that'll allow you to start creating a recipe or your business plan or model. But I would say that for me is the most important thing, is getting your house in order first. It's going to support you to be able to do what you love to do best and help weather the storm, I believe. When things are a bit, hard or stressful, or you come across bumps in the road.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So like the bumps in the road, like that you mentioned, which I've had other soap makers kind of reach out and, say, oh, my products aren't selling, I feel like giving up. And, I say to them, but don't give up. Like, just, keep focused, know, who your audience is. Don't just make soap and, not know who you're making it for, because it's not sending the right message, the energy behind it. It's like a little unknown what you're doing, and I find that other soap makers can struggle with that. So
Yeah.
what advice would you give for people that have started then? Like, so with, people that you gave advice on people that haven't started, but what about people that have started and it hasn't really, they're quite disappointed and they don't know kind of what to do? Like, what advice would you give in regards to that?
Just don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
My hubby said a good thing is to write down what got you into soap making. What did you love about it? And come back to that. It's so easy to get lost. As you said, it is a very oversaturated market. And as I said before, with us, we were quite lucky with how we situated Sweet Earth product. It wasn't for us, it's not a competition to get out there and sell. It's you want to share something with the community. But I think really just don't be too hard on yourself. Take a breath, walk away from it for a little while, have a coffee, pour a wine or something, and just recenter yourself and, go away and...
I was actually going to say, like, I just thought of it now, and I didn't really think of it until now, until I asked that question. But I would assume that what's happening is new soap makers that started selling, and they might not see the growth they're kind of expecting. They might be comparing their products to other soap makers' products.
Yes.
Might be a bad place to see it.
Yes.
To create your own unique products, and you're not really meant to be comparing it to others, because I think every soap maker, offers something very unique and very different.
Yes, absolutely, George. I think you nailed it there. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You are your own unique individual, and allow that to come through your expression of, what you're creating. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good. I think so too. I think that's when people can, like you said, take a break and take a breather. And I guess, that's how I kind of think. I don't know if other people think the same, but when I make a product, when I look at it, I'm like, I would use that. So if I was to buy that from someone else, I'd want it to be like this. So it's like, I guess you create what you would want to use on yourself and your family. And of course, you only want the best for yourself and the family. So I think if you create something like that, people will respond to that.
Yeah, absolutely, George, definitely.
Yeah, and then, like, when I look at your products, I automatically think clean, great ingredients, no nasties, looking after, your family. I'm sure you'll be comfortable in using your soaps on your son and, on your husband and other family members. So, like, that would relate to people that are wanting the same thing. They can connect with you.
Yeah, definitely, George. Yes.
Yeah. And what is, since we're talking about soaps, what is your most favourite bar that you make?
My most favourite bar, I think, would have to be my Chamomile's Dream bar here that I make. This one was what actually set my heart aflutter to the whole soaping craft, I think. It was one of Ellie's recipes. And it is just a simple, basic recipe, George, and it's so beautiful and so simple. And, I've got that real connection to that bar of soap because you can make such amazing soaps but it does get a bit stressful, with all these colours and swirls, and it's so exciting, learning to do that and creating these things. But, sometimes you just want to get back to basics.
That's
just,
right. Yes.
Just simple. And honestly, I love, as much as I do making all these wonderful, exciting bars of soaps, I just love the simple bars of soap. They're really very therapeutic for me to make, and I find in turn I end up making more of those, and just I want to make more of those simple bars. It's less stressful. There's not as much pressure.
Yeah, definitely. And I can relate to that. Like when I'm doing some videos for YouTube and there's like a 3-color swirl, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like looking at the camera and I get a bit anxiety. I'm like, is this going to turn out the way I want it to turn out?
Yeah.
And I'm like, customers going to respond to it the way I'm I'm hoping they respond to it. Yeah. So I sometimes when I'm working with a plain bar, it's like, I can just take my hat off and I'm not have to worry about splitting it and trace. If it traces fast, we'll have to work quick,
That's right. All those different elements, and you have to do it one after the other for it to all just work. As beautiful it is highly stressful sometimes. And learning about, if you're introducing essential oils, how they can accelerate and speed up. As long as we can laugh at it in hindsight, George, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Well, my next question, you stumbled on it again. What's the most difficult bar that you have to make?
Oh, my goodness me. I think my spring celebration, because there's so many different elements to it, but of recent it was the red clay and turmeric soap that I made, which I think I gave you my recipe for the aromatherapy.
Yes.
Didn't even think. I just got inspired. So that's another lesson there. I didn't even think, and I thought, what a wonderful bar of soap, and I'm going to put yang ylang, and I read and researched about Absolute, and I got some beautiful Absolute rose oil, and I went to make this big, beautiful bar of soap, and I was scrambling, George. I really was. I haven't summoned up the nerve to make it again at the moment. I really got to sit down and plan and not just be inspired by raw motivation, definitely those two. The swirl, the spring celebration one, it's just intense because, like you said, you're dealing with different colours and different oils as well. And for us, with what we do, it's making sure you can copy that again, because your customers, they fall in love with that, and it's being able to replicate that.
Yes, definitely. So consistency, because I know all too well when you have, you release like a new soap recipe and it changes in appearance, like too much by appearance.
Yeah.
Or next time, the fragrance might be a little different, or different batch of essential oil can affect the overall scent as well. And that can affect people buying it again and like, it's a little different. I was used to the other one, But I find now that, I've just actually turned 3 in June 6th was Dawn Organics' 3rd birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
I know. I have to pinch myself sometimes.
Yeah. I bet. You're doing so well, George.
Thank you. But I found that was, again, I'm glad I mentioned that. Because that was something at the beginning that I really worried every time. It has to be exact. But then the more I kind of experienced, the growth of the business and I began to know my customer base, they're actually not too worried about it. Yeah. It seems like at first, there might be when it doesn't move as fast as the first time or something. But then once they, they do kind of look at it and go, hey, it's different. But once they try it, And I think they realise, handmade products aren't going to be exactly the same every time. I think that's what kind of makes them appreciate it a little bit more. Yeah,
uniqueness, absolutely, George. And like you said, is that your long-term customers, your main support base, they really don't care. They know your product. They know it's beautiful, and I think they don't mind it, being a little bit different because, like you said, it does go to show that these are all handcrafted. It's artisan. It's not going to be the same as if you pick it up from the shops at Woolworths or something like that.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right, so I guess my next question will be, what's your most popular bar that you sell?
The most popular bar that we sell at Sweet Earth Products would have to be our Butterfly Princess Fragrance Bar, George.
Wow.
And I love that, and it's one of my favourites too because that was created for all of my beautiful little nieces.
Oh, okay.
Remind me of little butterflies. So that actually is, and the scent, I think, it's a fragrance one. I find that more colourful fragrance soaps, they are quite popular, and that one I think I fragranced with the brambleberry jelly beans, so it's quite a hit with people. Yes.
Oh, okay, excellent. I've never used fragrance oils before. I'm really tempted, because I know I'm on the aromatherapy path, and but I've looked at some fragrance oils. I'm like, oh. Should I?
Shouldn't I? Absolutely. I've actually gone the opposite way, George. This one here is one of the first soaps I made during that COVID. Well, one of the many soaps that I made during that COVID lockdown. So I was all about fragrances and pretty colours, which is definitely me, but it's not what I'm about. I really have stepped away from the fragrances and looked at more of that healing plant medicine, your essential oils. I don't think I've used fragrances for quite a few months now, like about 6-7 months. It's all aromatherapy oils. They're just so beautiful and better for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I might play around with one or two, not to have a full range because I'm not
that's right.
I'm eyeing out a couple. There's a couple that I've seen. One of them I think is pomegranate and lychee.
Yeah, that is a hit, isn't it? With a lot of people.
And I'm thinking, it must smell so good. I just want to see, Another one is watermelon. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
My auntie makes amazing watermelon bath bombs, and you just salivate on the smell of them. You really do. But we like to offer, a choice to people. We understand that people do love the really pretty colours and, those really strong fragrance smells. So we don't do a big range of them, but we will, if people prefer the fragrance, we'll offer that. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think so. I think I might because some people, I've seen, they ask, even though I have I've sourced, organic fragrance oils from the States, and that's from Nature's Flavors. They're really, really good. Yeah, they're beautiful. But they still don't have, full range like, conventional fragrance oils have. So I'm tempted to try, like a watermelon or something.
Something yummy.
Something you smell and you feel like you want to eat it. Yeah.
Yes.
And since we're on the topic of, additives and stuff, what's your favourite carrier oil?
That is such a good question. There's so many beautiful oils, George. I love grapeseed oil. But I think my favourite would have to be avocado. Okay. And I don't know if that's because I love avocados so much, but it's such a beautiful, avocados are so good for you, and so's the oil.
Yeah.
And if I could afford it, I would put avocado in a lot of my soaps, but I do. I think out of all of them, I love avocado oil, and it really gives that creaminess to your bar. When I've been experimenting with different oils and butters and things like that, I find that It's avocado oil gives still that creaminess about the bar if I don't add a shea or a cocoa or something like that. It really is a beautiful oil, and we have got such wonderful suppliers here in Australia where you can get locally homegrown avocado oil, and they do a beautiful job. It's a lovely oil.
They sure do. Yeah. And another great oil, I think, that's Australian as well. We have amazing Australian olive oil here as well.
Olive oil is always the classic girl, isn't she? Beautiful.
And sweet almond oil, Australian sweet almond oil, I find is just one of the top quality. Yeah, right. And avocado, Australian avocado oil too. Yeah, they're just fantastic. I haven't played
very much with sweet almond oil in soaps. It's something that I'm very excited and looking forward to doing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Just be prepared.
Okay.
If you use virgin sweet almond oil, which is what I tend to go towards, it does accelerate trace a little.
Right. Thank you for the heads up.
Be careful. It does speed things up a little. Like sunflower oil, it does kind of speed things up. Yeah.
Actually, I have just been experimenting a little with sunflower oil, and it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Yes.
But it creates such an amazing lather, sunflower oil. Yeah.
Right. I'm yet to test my ones that I have just made, my little baby soaps that I made. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. And so it does have a really good lather to it, doesn't it?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And it's, I found it, like, strange. Like, the only information I've gotten on sunflower oil was that it sustains lather. So, which is great, but since now using it and testing it out, it sustains it, but it also creates a really big puffy lather.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's actually really good. It's fantastic.
That's amazing. I'm so excited to try my bar when it's cured now. And it's lovely with the experimenting that you do with all these different oils and how they come out in that soap. That's what I'm doing a lot of too, is just trying different things and keeping it very basic recipe so that I can see how that end product is from that particular oil that I've been using.
Yeah. That's true. Very good. And of course, you have to try what you make, like to see if it's what you want. Yeah.
That's the best part of it, George. I think secretly I just make soap so that I can test it. It's the best part, I think.
That's it. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And like I said before, like, if it's something if you would buy it and you'd use it, and you love it, and you're comfortable with your family using it, other people will connect with that automatically and want to buy it as well and want to use it.
Absolutely. So, and I think because we do that, they in turn do as well. I think everybody's starting to become quite aware about the importance of what they're using and putting into themselves. So we have such great support from our friends, family and community with these beautiful, natural, organic, wholesome soaps we make.
Yeah.
And we all love using them. Actually, it's so funny because it really contributed to getting our son to actually have a bath. Being a boy, of course, I was at my wit's end trying to get him to bath. And when we started making soap, it's solved that problem now. If anything, he uses all the hot water.
Your bath bombs probably would have.
Yes, bath bombs. My auntie makes amazing bath bombs. So between the soaps and the bath bombs, it keeps him keen and interested.
Yes. I can imagine. And in terms of like your products, like what's your favorite additives as well? Like you touch base on, avocado oil. What other additives you love and that you love kind of incorporating into your recipes?
Definitely herbs, George. I love gardening and plants, and I love incorporating herbs into the soap. Soap and herbs just go so well together to make this all-round, beautiful, nourishing, and almost like therapeutic bar. It's skin food for your vessel.
It really is,
George, and I love just using herbs in soap and all those natural, organic additives, the colours and things like that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And we're lucky in Australia too because we have amazing Australian clays and really good supplies here. And even we've got abundant variety of herbs that are grown here organically as well, and that we can use into in our soap recipes. And I think there's actually a lot of herb places in Queensland that do dried herbs and stuff. Yeah, like it's just, we're really lucky here in Australia. Really lucky.
We certainly are. We've got some really good Aussie-based businesses that are producing and stocking some really high quality herbs and plants and teas and botanicals and clays, like you said, George. It's a really exciting time, and we've got such a great community with suppliers and things like that here in Australia.
Yeah, definitely, we definitely do. And right, so I think that's we've come to the end of our chat. And thanks so much for being a part of the Soap Makers Lounge.
Thank you so much for having me, George. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem. And it was a pleasure having you also. And I'll provide, Hala has been very generous into providing a discount code. So head on over to the description below and head on over to her website as well and give her a look out at sweetearthproducts.com.au. Did I get that right?
That's right.
And all the information will be available in the description. All right, so thanks again, Hala, and I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Looking forward to it, George. Thank you so much. Take care.
No problems. Take it easy. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.